Alright guys, so you are here because you have a zero-turn mower. This one specifically we're working on today is a Bobcat, but this is a common problem with most zero-turn mowers. Now, underneath of your motor, on the deck, the frame, it's just coated with oil. It's been leaking forever. You don't know where it's coming from, and I'm going to show you a couple tips that might help you get it fixed without having to put too much work into it. There's a couple of things that this could be, and I'm going to walk you through it. So this is the model that I'm actually working on now. The first thing you actually want to do, and I had already done this, is this was covered with at least 2 inches of old oil crud. All right, so I put some engine degreaser on here. I took it out to the power washer and I power washed all this out because the whole side here, everything was just caked with oil. But this machine has been leaking oil every day for a very, very long time. And it's going to be impossible to find out where it's leaking from with all this oil caked all over the place. So if you can, get a power washer, clean everything off first. If you don't have a power washer, then get a rag and some degreaser or something, and you're just going to have to keep spraying and wiping, spraying and wiping. You want to get this whole area clear so that you can see exactly where your leak is coming from. First thing you want to check, and I have a filter off, is you're going to want to take your filter off, okay? And you want to check this seal right here. And if you don't know what you're looking for, these are affordable enough. Just go get another one, take this filter off, and put a new filter back on. See if it's still leaking. If you start the machine and it's still leaking, and this particular machine was leaking right here, right at the front of the seal. So I originally thought that it was just going to be the seal on the oil filter because it was dripping out of right here. Now, another thing you want to look for is first, let me remove this oil filter. Alright, I already loosened it up for sake of the video. Now, behind that filter is your oil cooler. Okay, behind this oil cooler is another seal. Alright, a lot of times it will leak from that seal also. To get this oil cooler off, you're going to have to do two things. You're going to need an Allen key to turn this bolt here, which I had already turned. So, I am going to just continue spinning this out. And it turns to the left. It's not reverse thread at all. Okay, now my oil cooler is loose. Come up to the top of the machine, and your top of your oil cooler is going to be right here. It's held on by a 5/16 bolt, which I had already removed for the sake of speeding up the video. Come back down after that bolt is out, and I might need 2 hands for this. You're able to pull this straight down. Okay, your whole oil cooler assembly will come out. Here's the back of it. All right, here's the front. Here's the back. See this seal right here? This seal here can also go bad. So you want to check that seal. If you're not sure what you're looking for, then just go ahead and get another seal, which would be, see if I have it over here, this one right here. All right, that's the seal that goes around there. And that is part number, you can see, 2415321-S if you're looking for that on this particular machine. To pull this seal out, it's pretty easy. You can get a little pick. It doesn't matter if you really damage this seal because you're going to replace it. Or if you have long fingernails, you can just dig under it like that, and you're going to pull this seal right out of there. Alright, and then you'll go ahead, set that seal down, then you'll go ahead and put your new seal back in there. Now, while you have your oil cooler out, don't put the oil cooler back on and see if it's still leaking before you do this. While it's out, if you look, and this is probably going to be your problem, alright, you can see all your bolts right here that are holding this whole bottom pan to the block itself. These are 10 millimeters, and you'll have a bunch of them. He's got to go all around the machine, and there's more way back there, and walk all the way around the machine and try to get all the ones that you can. These will, over time, loosen up. This machine vibrates a lot, and when these loosen up, you will start losing oil from your this gasket here, from your actual pan, will start pouring oil out of it. You'll get gasket creep. The gasket will start dropping, deteriorating. just from grass in general being stuck under here in the motor, because grass is acidic by nature, so it will eat away at the gasket. As these become looser, dirt and stuff gets in there. Go around, tighten all these. I guarantee you're going to find that some of these have vibrated loose. If it's still leaking, then that's the problem that you didn't want. You are going to have to go ahead, get underneath of this machine, and there's going to be a couple of bolts holding this motor on. And you're going to have, depending on the attachment you have, this has a bagger attachment, you're going to have to take all this off, disconnect a bunch of stuff up here, raise that motor, and you're going to have to drop that pan down, and this is the gasket for that. 2404166-S. That's what I'm hoping I don't have to do. Right now, I just got up to the oil cooler itself, and I'm going to put that oil cooler gasket on, put the oil cooler back on. I went around, my bolts were loose on that pan, and I tightened them all up, and I'm hoping that I fixed the leak. But I will pick up the video once I get all this back together and I start it, and then if we have to lift the motor out and do the pan gasket on there, I'll do another video on that. Alright, so we got it all back together here. I'm going to fire it up. That's pretty awesome. I was worried I was going to have to pull that freaking motor out of there, but I think we got it. So basically the last time it looked like it was pouring right out of the seal here at the seam where the gasket meets the cooler. So I thought it was just the filter, but it wasn't. I changed the oil cooler seal. It may have been that, but also I went around and tightened all those bolts on that bottom pan there, and some of them were loose. And what happens is it could have been blowing out onto the back of this oil cooler and dripping down the center there, making me think it was leaking from the oil filter. So it may have just been that those pan bolts were loose also. I had somebody else that looked at it and they said, oh, 99% of the time it's going to be that pan gasket. You're going to have to rip the motor out, and I didn't want to go through all that. I like to start with the small stuff first, and luckily I fell within that 2% statistic to where it was just either the oil seal or the loose bolts down there. So didn't have to pull the motor out. I'm excited. Anyway, if this helped you out, guys, please hit subscribe below. Give me a like. I do these videos somewhat daily, and hopefully this helped you out. See you next time.